Hey guys, this is Coach Lowe, and this is Geometry, Chapter 2, Section 3, and we're talking about conditional statements. All right, let's go. All right, so conditional statements. There will be two parts to a conditional statement. You'll see an if and a then. The stuff that comes after the if here is called the hypothesis. Right? So um, sometimes it can be flipped around too. You just kind of have to check for it. But the hypothesis will follow the word if. So it's the part of the phrase that follows if. The conclusion is the part of the phrase that follows then. So in our case, the hypothesis is you purchase a computer and do not like it. The conclusion is you can return it within 30 days. All right, so I will let you try the next two. Find the hypothesis and the conclusion. You can circle the hypothesis and put an H over it and then box the conclusion and put a C over it, however you would like to do that. All right, so the hypothesis is x plus 8 equals 4. Notice I did not circle the if. That's just the word that clues me to where the hypothesis is. And then the conclusion follows then. So if x plus 8 equals 4, then x equals negative 4. So this is my conclusion. Now, this is an if-then statement. It is a conditional statement. If this, then that. So in our case, if x plus 8 equals 4, then x equals negative 4. You can have a conditional statement and it can be false. All right, that's okay. We're just telling whether the conditional statement is true. This one is true. Number one, it depends on the return policy. All right, number 3. If the drama class raises $2,000, then they will go on tour. Hypothesis. The drama class raises $2,000. Conclusion, they will go on tour. All right, good job, guys. Okay, let's look at the next problem. We want to write the statement in if-then form. So we have a statement. We want to make it a conditional. So a polygon with 4 sides is a quadrilateral. So we want to say if a polygon has 4 sides, and what do you think the then would be? Yeah, good job. Then it is a quadrilateral. All right, pause the video and you can work the next one. All right, now that we're back, an acute angle has a measure less than 90 degrees. So my conditional statement, I want an if then. If an angle is acute, then it measures less than 90 degrees. All right, nice job, guys. Let's keep going here. Now we want to determine the truth value. So we want to say whether this is true or false. And if it's false, we will give a counterexample. All right, so let's try this. So if you have $5, then you have 5 $1 bills. Is that necessarily true? So think of a counterexample. Could you have $5 and have different combination than 5 $1 bills? Well, of course you can. You can have change, right? So you just need one counterexample. $4 and 4 quarters. So my answer is this is a false statement. It's false reason. I mean, it's a false conditional statement. That's the truth value. And my counter example is I could have $4 and 4 quarters. That's still $5. All right. Number 7, or 4 $1 bills, I guess I should say. $1 bills. All right. So you guys try number 7. So pause the video and try it out. All right, now that you're back, if I roll 2 6-sided dice and the sum of the numbers is 11, one die must be a 5. Well, that's true. That is a possibility. One die could be a 5 and one die could be a 6 because that's 11. Are there other possibilities? Well, 4 and 7 is 11, but that won't work. Those are too big. 3 and 8, nope, too big. So this is the only possibility. So that is a true conditional statement. All right, number 8. If two angles are supplementary, one of the angles is acute. If two angles are supplementary, remember that means add to be two angles adding to be 180, their sum is 180, then one of the angles must be less than 90. I like to write those definitions up there so we can really think about it. Well, in most cases that would be true, but I can think of a counterexample. I hope you thought of one. What if both angles are right angles? What if the segments are perpendicular, or the lines or rays are perpendicular to each other? Well, then my angles are not acute angles. They are both 90 degrees and they are still both supplementary. So this is false. They could both be right angles. All right. So my last question for you, let me see if I can get this to go here. My last question for you here is number 9. Write the converse, inverse, and contrapositive of the conditional statement. Determine whether the statement is true or false. If it is false, find a counterexample. If 89 is divisible by 2, then 89 is an even number. All right, so the converse. So let's talk about what all of these mean. First of all, when we talk about hypothesis and conclusion, we can represent those with letters. So the hypothesis here, instead of writing an H, let me back up. I don't want that thick of a pen. Thank you. Okay. The hypothesis here, we can call it the letter P, and then we can let the conclusion be represented by Q. Sometimes this is written like this, and it means if P, then Q. So if 89 is divisible by 2, then Q, then 89 is an even number. All right, so that is just a statement. The converse says switch those two. Switch the if, or switch the hypothesis with the conclusion. So the converse says if Q, then P. So the converse would look like this. If 89 is an even number, my V's don't want to write today, then 89 is divisible by 2. All right, so there is the converse. Is this statement false? If 89 is an even number, then 89 is divisible by 2. Well, that is true. 89 is not an even number, but that is the hypothesis if 89 is an even number. So the hypothesis is false. So it is not divisible by 2, but this first part isn't true anyway. All right, so let's go on to the inverse. All right, the inverse says not P implies not Q, or if not P, then not Q. Hello? Not Q. There we go. All right, so remember P was 89 is divisible by 2, so not P. If 89 is not divisible by 2, then 89 is not an even number. True, right? If 89 is not divisible by 2, then 89 is not an even number. All right, that is true. Contrapositive. Contrapositive says take the converse and negate it. So do the opposite of what the converse says. So converse says Q, we'll do not Q. Converse says P, we'll say not P. So look at the converse and we'll say if 89 is not an even number, then 89 is not divisible by 2. All right, so we will practice on those tomorrow when I see you. Write a star in the bottom right corner of your paper and show it to me when you get to school tomorrow. This is our secret code, so don't tell anyone. All right, good job today, and we'll talk more tomorrow. This is Coach Lowe, and I'm out.